I was born in St. Paul, Minnesota, inside a home. My mom told me this. And then I was raised in Michigan, in Detroit until 3rd grade, and then in Warren. And we were like one of the first Asian families in that community. So that was pretty awesome to feel that, like, to just be like one of the first of something, right? And then I lived there for most of my life. I went to college there, and then I moved here in 2007. So I feel like most of my life didn't start till I moved here, to be honest. Itu fashion designer. I also moved here because my parents were divorced, and then my mom remarried, and then my brother and my sister both left to the Marines. And then it was just me, and then I had my degree. I was the first to graduate college in my family of 8. And my mom was like, it's time for you to go do something with your degree. So then she found me somebody I could move in with here. And then I left because my mom was planning to give up our house and move in with her husband. So my thing was like, I had to make it out here. It was like do or die for me, because there's nothing to go back home to. Like, my mom was going to be living with her husband and his family, and then my siblings were gone in the Marines. Yeah, I went to a private school, and it was for a Bachelor's of Fine Arts.
Degree, like, fashion design?
Because in 5th grade, I decided I wanted to be a designer. And this is how I determined it, was because I like sketching, but I knew I was not an artist. So I like sketching clothing. So I decided that I was going to be a designer, even though I didn't know what a designer was. I just followed that path from like 4th or 5th grade until college. And then I just learned what it was, and then I came to LA and I learned what it really was, and then I just stuck with it because I just had like natural talent that was drawn to designing. So yeah.
So do you feel like you have to learn a new skill, or?
My school taught me the basics, but I didn't really know what it was until I started working in the industry. Like, I didn't know my fabrics, and I didn't know, like, I knew how to sketch and I knew how to do Illustrator, which was important, Photoshop and Illustrator, but I didn't know like all the grunt work and all the like terminology that they use in the real industry versus like what they teach you in a textbook. And I don't know, I just learned so many things. I feel like I didn't know anything until I started working in the industry.
So how long did it take you to adjust to like learn all those new terms?
It took me a long time because when I first moved here, I got a job as an assistant designer, and then I got fired within 2 weeks because she didn't want to train me anymore. So I got the first-hand experience of cutthroat LA and being in this industry, and then I started working at a boutique, and then so I didn't work as assistant designer until like, gosh, in 2012. So I was here already a few years, and then I went from like a boutique job to an internship to an online store job to my dream job up at Hardy. And that I was like a creative director's assistant. So I learned like different aspects of the fashion world by doing like fashion shows. And then I got to travel to Vegas. I got to travel to Barcelona. So I learned like a bunch of different aspects of the fashion world, but not my design the design aspect until 2012 when I got my first assistant design job.
Because you want to actually design clothes.
Yeah,
right?
I wanted to design clothes, but all the paths that I was taking in the beginning was like different paths. But it all like helped build my confidence into getting my assistant design job. So
did that help in a way enhance your like your ability and your techniques and stuff like that too then?
I feel like it did, because no matter where I went, I was able to utilize my design skill. So like when I worked at Ed Hardy, I made like custom headpieces for the fashion shows, or I made like a custom tutu for the fashion show for a celebrity. And even the online store, I like use my sense of style to know, to describe an item in a garment when I was like posting stuff. So wherever I went, I was utilizing my skills in different aspects, but not as far as like sketching or like really knowing what it takes to make a garment. I learned that later.
So besides your work,
Yeah.
when you first moved to LA, what kind of struggle did you have to go through?
Well, my first year was really hard. It was like adapting to parking. It was adapting to multiple roommates, adapting to cockroaches. Um, I I got mugged within the first 3 months. And then within the first 6 months, I totaled my car. The parking tickets was just ridiculous because I did not understand it for some reason. And I lived in Koreatown on a really busy street. So it was hard for me to adjust to all of that. And I learned the hard way. And then, like I said, getting fired from my job, my first job in the industry, that was hard too. And just like making genuine friendships, I feel like was hard. And finding like a family, people that I can call family here. So those were difficulties that I went through.
So anybody that wants to move here?
You have to be real tough. You have to be able to handle like not being near your family. If you're very family oriented and very traditional, yeah, you have to be able to like know how to be alone. Yeah. That's one of the biggest things that I really had to learn was really being alone. Because when I lived in Koreatown, you know, like I was going through a heartbreak and I didn't really have any, like I didn't really know you guys that well yet. So I didn't really have anybody to turn to. And I was like literally going through life and things alone. And I was going through a hard time. I would like literally go work, go hiking by myself in Griffith Park, come home and be in my room and then repeat life.
Well, I guess that's one perspective to look at it too, right?
Yeah.
Because it's so busy. There's so many people in LA.
Yeah.
That you still have to be alone.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not what people think where you move there and then I think some people like, oh, I'm going to party every weekend and all this.
Yeah.
It's a little different. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. I think, you meet like all different types of people. So like, I feel like I didn't really meet like genuine people till I met Hmong people like you guys, because then it was like genuine. We were like-minded. Like it's funny, like as an adult I finally became plugged into like having Hmong friends like that. I mean, I kind of did after high school, but then not growing up at all. So I feel like here I'm thankful I met like you guys, because then I found family and I found like I became more, you know, like I just found family and it became more like home. Because I feel like if I didn't find you guys, it would have just been like going through these friendships, going through people who were all striving to be successful in their career in different paths, that like, where's your common ground? Where's your commonality to really come together and like celebrate and do things together, you know?
Yeah, and I think because everybody's so competitive, and you mostly meet people in your field, so that competition, doesn't matter how good a friend you are, you're going to end up butting head.
Well, in the fashion industry, it's like also learning is different. Like, because, you know, there's so many designers, so many other people, right? But the people who interview you look at, like, I'm really good at interviews. So, like, I know how to sell myself. And I think that's what's important, too, is, like, knowing how to market yourself, right? Sell yourself. And it's not only what's on your resume. Because, like, you may have all the skills and what they're looking for, but if your personality doesn't fit in with their work environment or the team, then you're not going to get hired. They're going to find somebody else. They'll like look at your resume and another girl will be like, but she's more fun. I feel like her personality would fit into our team. So they would hire her over you, even though you have the better skills and the better technique.
Living here, do you miss Hmong food?
Yes, I do. And I always like look at Jane and Baku, them. They all know how to make like the Hmong food, and I feel like sad that I don't know how to really make the Hmong food or like the pepper or any of those traditional things. But it's okay because my mom, you know why I'm more modern? It's because my mom worked 2 jobs for 12 years. She was like out of our house by 6 o'clock. She came home at 10 o'clock at night, and she worked at the factory job. And then straight after, she would go to a waitressing job.
Does that motivate you in your career too, like seeing your mom struggle like that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, because I've been away for so long. But she really used to be like my fire. I used to be like wanting to work hard so that I can not struggle like, you know, we did, or like have to work like my mom did. But she really did implement a lot of my work ethic. I burned myself out because I saw how driven she was and what she did, you know.
That really pushes you.
Yeah, I wish I was more like driven where I was before, where I wanted to like, I dreamed of like getting a house for my family and stuff. But then like, that's not the reality. You know, I grew away from that dream of like wanting to have my family in one household and that fantasy.
Well, and I think the older you get, the
more realistic you realize life is. And
it's kind of like some Hmong people, because I mostly know filmmakers, right? There's some Hmong filmmakers who are like, oh, I'm going to move to LA, and within 2 years, I'm going to be famous, whatever, director, actor. That's not the case.
Yeah.
So, like, some people, I think, like, for you, for example, in a way you mature more, you see the real things in life.
Yeah, more realistic. Yeah.
I'm sure you still have to go, but you know that that's a lot harder.
It is, and I feel like I can always like still be successful in my life, and then, you know, at least take care of my nieces and nephews somehow in the future, or like be an influence amongst other generations as far as my journey, my experience, and like give guidance if I need to. I feel like that's a more realistic and more sufficient perspective.
So for somebody who somebody who lives in, say, still in Michigan and wants to do fashion design,
I would say no. I'm just kidding. I would like change your mind. No, I'm just kidding. Don't waste your money. No. No, actually people have reached out to me and I give it to them real, and I will talk to them on the phone, and I will like pick their brains, be like, well, why do you want to get into design? Like, what do you want to do? Like, where do you see yourself, you know? Because I wish that I had somebody to like ask me those questions and then like help me figure it out, you know, or at least put those questions in my mind to really think about it. I don't regret it because I love the life that I have, but like it does open up your mind, because then, like, you know, there's a lot of people who waste their life like pursuing a career that they never even follow, whereas like you could have been saving your time doing something else that you were gonna be successful at.
I think that's true, because there's some people who, let's say, go to college, right, just because they think that that's the next step in life. Somebody could, like, let's say, for example, just work at McDonald's, right, and work up and become a manager and own, I don't know, a franchise of McDonald's.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad route. Like, you don't need, sometimes you don't need a college degree to do that if you have the experience. But you have to be focused in that route.
See, about the college degree, like, people don't know, like, people don't even really look at that. In my, like, industry, there was a girl who came in as an assistant designer, and I found out how much she was making, and she made more than me when I first started, and I had a college degree, and all she had was 1 year of experience, and then my boss was giving her way more opportunity to grow so fast, whereas I was already there for 2 years. And that rubbed me the wrong way completely, because I feel like my college degree was such a waste. Like, I didn't even need it. All I had to do was like come here, work, get a few years of experience, and I would have been successful. I mean, yes, the college degree still helps me and I still learned a lot, but like I feel like it wasn't valued the way that I thought it would be. And you know, and then you have all this loans that you're paying for, and you're just like, wow, it doesn't even matter. Cause look at this girl, you know. Yeah. That was a slap.
It's not like becoming a doctor or whatever.
No,
right?
It's not. Because nobody checks. Nobody knows. Like, nobody knew what the hell my school was. They're just like, oh, you have a bachelor's degree. Oh, can you do Photoshop? Yes. Can you do Illustrator? Yes. Can you sketch? Yes. That's all you... Like, those are the basics.
I kind of feel like in the arts industry, like, whether fashion, I don't know, photography, whatever, people almost don't really care about your degree unless you went to like a super well-known school, right?
Yeah.
Then that makes a little difference.
Yeah.
But even then, like,
if I did, I wouldn't be applying at LA jobs. Just kidding. Central St. Martin's, I would not be here. But yeah. Yeah, you know what I would tell people is like, go to the community school. And like, because there are courses in fashion, go there, get an experience for it, and like get a feel for it. And then if it's something that you really want to pursue, then you can transfer your credits and go to out of state, school where it'll take your credits. Because I think one of my girlfriends from Sweden, when she was living here, she did that. She went to Santa Monica Community College, and it was like free or whatever for her. And then she transferred all those credits to FIT, which is like one of the better schools, fashion schools in New York. And she got accepted in there. But that like really exposed her to like, wow, she really wants to do this. And now she's successful. She's like a head designer in New York.
In the design industry, is there something where people can go job shadow somebody?
Internships. But yeah, there is like so many companies that are open to interns.
So you live in this apartment for 9 years?
Yeah, I think it's been 9 years.
How does living here different from when you first moved here, living in like K-Town?
K-Town was rough because that's where I learned everything. But I think I needed those lessons because it was like very overcrowded, very clustered with like 10 people in an apartment. It felt like that. But then moving here, it finally felt like home because it was like more open space, and open space as far as the roads are wider, parking, and it was just like less, it was like more calm here. So it felt more like home to me. Because I never really felt like home in Koreatown.
So how did you overcome your struggles, like, getting mugged, getting fired, like just moving here, like adjusting? How did you overcome all of those?
The mentality was do or die. There's nothing left to go back home to. What would I do? Like, I could not imagine myself working at a Thai restaurant, my aunt's Thai restaurant for the rest of my life, or working at a restaurant job and living like that. And then not only that, like, there are so many benefits to living here in LA that it's like, what would I go back to? Like, I have already done a lot of things in Michigan. Like, I didn't explore like the way I did here, but then like I just knew the lifestyle there, and that's not what I wanted. So I overcame it by reminding myself that like it's a better life here even through the struggles.
What do you do now then? Like, what's your job or like?
Well, now I am a designer, like head designer. I guess you can call it head designer. It's just me and my boss. She's the creative director, and I'm the only designer at a plus size clothing company. So it's called Holt Fox, and it's basically a very small team, mom and pop shop kind of style, where like the mom and dad owned it, and then they passed it on to their son. So now the son and the wife runs it, and so I work directly under the wife. And so I do all the sourcing for fabrics, the research for styles, and then I manage the pattern room and manage production. So I keep like the flow of the company going.
Is it a normal 9 to 5 job, or it is like?
It's actually 7:30 to 5 job, and Monday through Friday. But I stay really busy with, my photography and in other projects. So I just add on my other interests, hobbies.
So speaking of photography, I know you've been taking photos. Yes. For a couple of years now.
Only 1.5 years.
Oh,
okay. Going on 2 years, okay. Going on 2 years.
So how did you get into photography, and like how do you balance the two, design and photography?
Well, photography I've always been into. Like fashion I always knew I wanted to get into, right? But photography has always been that one hobby, because like growing up I had like my dad had all these like photo albums of us, and I love pictures. I'm obsessed with pictures. So then I think just throughout the years, like just taking pictures, and then people like saying, oh, that's a really good picture, or oh, you have a good eye, so I decided to buy my coworker's camera because he was selling it, and I swear that's a sign from God, because like, fashion, I did it for so long, and I was kind of like losing the passion for it, because it's literally just my job now. I'm still excited about it, but then like not as like excited as I am about photography. So I bought his camera, and then I just started shooting and started like literally coming up with creative concepts and then making it come together and being the one behind the camera, because I used to be the wardrobe stylist or the hair, or do the hair or the makeup or whatever. But then now this time I was the photographer, and I was always intimidated to picking up a camera because there are so many other photographers.
I think there's like different kinds of photography, like landscape, fashion.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you focus on? Anything specific or?
I really do love like lifestyle, but I really like doing everything so far. Like I've been getting, I mean, the ones that get paid is the events. But I've been, you know, on the side when I get a chance, I like to do more creative concepts as far as like fashion, like coming up with the like makeup, hair, and the whole creative concept. And I want to eventually like dab into more storytelling versus just taking pictures, because that's what I was just focused on, learning how to use a camera.
Whether there be Hmong girls or boys or like anybody that wants to get into like photography or fashion, do you have any advice for them being where you are right now?
For fashion, I have a lot of advice. For photography, not so much yet, but I feel like with fashion, definitely know what you're getting yourself into. It's not glamorous like what you think, and I wish I had a mentor to tell me like what school to invest in, what really benefits you from like living in LA and working in this industry, the fashion industry in LA versus like the New York industry or like studying abroad. I wish I had a mentor to tell me those things. So I do have a lot of advice, but it depends on what you want to know, because I've learned so much and I've dabbled into not only design, but like, you know, doing fashion shows and being part of a creative director, like seeing, that's more fun to me actually, doing fashion shows, but then also doing import production. So I pretty much have dabbled into a lot of aspects of the fashion industry. But I feel like if you're passionate about it, I think that's what's going to get you, is what's going to get you far. Because if you're not passionate about it, it's just going to be another job, and you're going to be doing like grunt work, and people are going to talk to you a certain way, and they're going to treat you a certain way. And if you're not strong-minded and you're not like level-headed, you probably won't be able to handle it and will quit, like many other people that I've known that has quit.
Did you ever make like any mistake that makes you question? Like,
I make many mistakes, and I still make mistakes, and I still question whether I want to be in this industry or not anymore. Seriously, no, because it's a lot. It's a lot of pressure, and then, you know, like you go through all this stress of making this one garment where people don't even appreciate it. Like, you know, people just like think, oh, Forever 21 is like fast fashion, whatever, is cheap. But like, if people knew how much work it took to make one garment, because it's so much stress over one little garment. You know, like one little mistake can cost thousands of dollars in like the production and money, like time, everything. So yeah, I have made mistakes, but I'm such a passive person that I just let it go. And if they yell at me, they yell at me, but I just go about it and handle it and move on.
And I'm assuming you learn from it and you try not to make the same mistake.
Yeah, I try. Keyword, try. But when you work for a company that's like, you wear so many hats and you do so many things, it's such a small company, you have to do so many things, like you're bound to make mistakes.
Well, especially with your job right now, because it's just, in a way, you and the owner, right?
Yeah, me, the owner, and then we have one import production, and then we have one domestic production, and then one pattern maker and one sample sewer. So we're like a small team creating a whole line to like continuously have product out, like new product each week. The design in LA is not designed to me. To me, it's not design. It's like it's like a business mind, right?
Like you're just pushing stuff out, right?
You're pushing stuff that you know will sell, and you're knowledgeable about what's trending. So you study the market, and then you take that. So like tiger print is in right now, right? It's like in the major runways, and then now it's plus. I do plus size, so our trend is a little bit slower. So if it's like popping in the juniors, I need to hop on that, and then I need to put it into the plus size market by making designs that incorporate like the tiger print, and then I need to push out that product so that we can follow that trend. And you literally I'm like knocking off junior designs. And then junior designers, when I worked as a junior designer, we would knock off like Free People. We would knock off like Anthro. We would knock off like higher end design. And in LA fashion, it's just like most of the companies like this, or they just like, they're smart in how they make it cheaper. Yeah. It's like changing the finishing, changing the fabric, and then either producing it domestically or in China and making it like super low cost.
So whatever you guys are doing, let's say right now, it's probably not going to be the same next year?
No.
It's just because you're just following the trend.
Yeah. But no, we do have, this is what I learned too, is like we have like staple bodies. So like basic tops or whatever that we know sold well last year. So we take it and then we put it in a new print and then we produce it. So like those, we have staple bodies that we continuously cut. They're bodies that they have cut for like 20 years. Oh, same body, same style, just updated a little bit.
So when you say, for those of us that don't know, like when you say a new print, what exactly does that?
A new print like your watermelon shirt, or like a new stripe. Print as in like the fabrication. What's like, you know, so leopard print or like tie-dye print or, you know.
So for example, like my watermelon, maybe you just make it a little bigger, or do you keep it like kind of the same or just different
no,
color?
say like your top, right? It's a staple body. It's a basic body that's like always going to be in because it's just a basic body. So in next year, because say watermelon is trending this year, right? And then next year it's pineapples. So we just put in a pineapple print instead.
So when you say earlier about the junior design, what is a junior design?
Junior is like sizes like 0 to 12. In like age range, it depends. Like, gosh, like high school to mid-college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or it could even be older because women, you know, like as long as it's cute and trendy, it's cute and they fit it, they'll wear it, you know. And then plus size is just like size 12 and up. 12, like 1X, 2X, 3X, or 14 to 22, like bigger girls.
I'm assuming you do men and women, or do you just...
No, only women. Only women. No, men is a whole different world. Men, different companies. So a lot of companies, like they dabble into like their specialties, right? Like ours is just plus, but we do like a lot of tops, a lot of dresses, some jackets and some bottoms, but we don't really dabble too much into it because and in denim for sure, no. So like, there's specifics. Like if you're a company, if you want to do denim, you're only going to do denim because you can't do everything. There are so many different things that goes into making a garment that you can't do just everything.
Because even I'm assuming, let's say for example, socks, that's a whole different specialty, right?
Yeah, that's a whole different. That's like a company that does only hosiery or like socks or something like that. Because then it's like you have to think about you're producing bulk, so then you have to buy all the yarns and you can't just produce 100 pieces of it. What are you gonna do? Like, and then the minimum of yarn, it depends on the company, especially if you're doing in China, you know. So there's a lot of factors that goes into fashion that people don't realize.
Because that's what like most of us that bitch bao well.
Yeah.
So we just think that, oh, you just measure somebody and you just sew some things. You don't think about like, okay, I need this fabric for this, or because even sometimes, you know, I look at my clothes and I'm like, how do they get it so that I don't see wherever, you know?
Yeah.
And it's
technique.
Yeah.
And the more hidden your clothes, the more well made it is, the more expensive it is, right? The more hidden the seams and the inside of your garment is, the more well made it is, because that takes more work. And like people don't understand, how much work that goes into it, because they'll be like, why don't you just make your own clothes? I'm like, do you know how long that would take me? Like to make a pattern, to go shopping for fabric, to fit it on myself, and then to make the first fit, second fit until it fits right, and then to, you know, wear it. Some people wouldn't care, but I care about fit.
I'm assuming because you have to do trials, right?
Yeah, like so that's why it's like first fit, second fit. Yeah, I still make custom designs, but like I charge a little bit more because it takes too much time. I don't even charge enough.
Those of us that don't know, like I was saying, I don't know, so I just think, oh, I want a shirt to look like this, and you just draw it, and somebody just makes it. But there's way more.
Oh my gosh, no, there's way more. Like that shirt, I would never make it because it's too much. Like, look at the pocket, look at like the finishing, look at the top stitch, the buttons, the hand stitching that goes into the...
I just noticed the bottom has this other color.
Yeah, see, that's the facing.
Oh, I don't
It's called facing. So like That's another piece they have to cut, and then they have to, you know, sew it on once, twice, or actually that's like probably like 2 times, 3 times that they sewed it on.
Because you have to decide what fabric or whatever.
Yeah,
also, right?
and then not only that, it's like if you have like the double needle stitch versus the single needle stitch. Single needle costs more. Any handwork costs more. So like sewing on the hand buttons costs more. That's why your shirt is made in China. or India or Vietnam, yeah. Because the labor is cheaper. But the labor here is like, now it's going up. Minimum wage is, you know, high. So we're actually cutting our domestic production.
I don't know if you have the answer for this.
What?
But I started shopping at like Ross. So I noticed that some of their brand name stuff is not very good.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, like, is that something where it's actually a brand name, or like it's like a knockoff, or like?
Oh, like which brand?
Because I bought one of my jeans, I think it's polo, and then the zipper like it keeps going to the side. So I don't know if it's like something that was broken, so they just ship it to Ross.
Oh.
Like, yeah.
Sometimes. So Ross tends to buy like Ross is the cheapest.
Yeah.
So what those brands usually do is like it's private label. So it may be polo, but then it's private label. So they have like a certain, I don't know if they use another vendor to make it. Like not the actual polo, but then like they have the license to use that brand. So like I learned this when I worked at Ed Hardy. Like, you know, they bought the rights to use that name, and then they produce that garment, but matching Ross's price. Or like sometimes Ross buys like closeouts, meaning like something that was malfunctioned, and they buy it for a really cheap price, and then they try to sell it in their stores. Yeah.
Okay.
So closeouts versus like it's a whole different thing, but like buyers have money to buy closeouts versus buying like actual like bulk production of one item. So that may have just been a malfunction, but.
So it seems like you're becoming more than just a fashion designer.
Oh yeah.
You're like business.
Oh, you have to be.
Everything.
I feel like you have to be. If you want to like make it in this industry, I feel like you should know everything. If you want to call yourself a designer, you should know like all those things.
Did you learn that in school too, or is that something you picked up?
Nope, you learn along the way. You learn along the way. But some people don't. Some people don't even like, some people are not business savvy. I feel like I've always been business savvy versus like designer, you know, savvy. So I think that's what made me get to where I am today. Whereas like other designers are very like, just stuck on their ideas, or just stuck like, oh, well, I want it this way and I want it to be produced this way, and it has to be this way. Me, I'm like, no. I'm like, change it. Change the stitch, change whatever, so that we can make it cheap and we can get it out.
Do you foresee yourself in the future having your own like brand or like clothing line?
You know, I used to dream about having my own line and stuff, but then when I've lived it and gone through the industry, I see the struggles, and then I kind of lost that vision. But I am trying to reconnect with that, and I do eventually want to release the line that I've always wanted to release, which is like incorporate like our Hmong traditional designs into more Americanized, commercialized items, so that I can sell it as a mass market item. And I want to go directly to the customers versus like doing private label like my companies do, like selling to the mainstream stores. I don't want to do that. I see the struggles, but I'd rather just do it like sell it on Etsy or sell it online somewhere on a platform that already has a strong clientele base, and then sell it through that.
Your family's in a way in Michigan, right? Or
yeah, all my immediate, my siblings and my mom's are in Michigan.
So do you go back there?
Yeah, often? I was just there, and I don't like the winters. So I don't go on the winters, but I usually go back like for my mom's birthday or like somebody's birthday or a wedding. Weddings is always around the fall, and then my birthday's always in the summer. Or I'll go back for the summer.
So do you want people to follow you on like Instagram?
If they want to, if they believe in my work, if they want to support me, but not because I'm gonna follow them back. I don't do follow for follow. I believe in genuality. Connect with me. Ask me questions if you want.